fair with his parents, he is happy and excited and wants the sweets and toys displayed there. But his parents don't buy them for him. Why then does he refuse when someone else offers them to him?
Okay. So anyone who has read this lesson? Has anyone read this?
Yes, sir, I had read.
Okay. See, again the ID left. What is wrong with the connection today? Sorry for this interruption.
No problem.
It is happening since first lecture today with me. So now I came out of the class near the table, so I think I won't lose the connection. Audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, so listen to me. The introduction I'm giving you. So the lost child is the story of a small child who gets lost in a fair. You know what is a fair? He
Melo.
he had gone with his parents to the fair, but loses them when he gets engrossed in looking at a roundabout swing. You know roundabout. So the story highlights the bond of love and affection that the child shares with his parents. Before losing them, he had been demanding different things like sweets, balloons, flowers, swings, etc. He wanted all these from his parents. But once he loses them, he is picked up by a stranger. A stranger comes and picks him up. So the stranger tries to quieten the child, tries to make him quiet by offering him all these things that he had demanded from his parents. But the child does not want them anymore, he wants his parents first. Clear?
Hmm. Yes, sir, clear.
Read this. When I tell you stop, then you stop there.
It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat being carried in bamboo and block carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with life and laughter.
So, wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys means in the winter season, the narrow lanes were full of shade. Emerged means came out, and brimming over means to be full of something. Here, brimming over means he was full of energy and excitement. So, the story is set in the spring season. As the winter season had just ended, right? And all the people came out of their houses. They were cheerful as the chilling cold weather had ended. People conveyed through different modes like foot, horses, bamboo carts, and bullock carts. People were traveling. A little child was accompanied by his parents. He ran excitedly and he often banged into his father's legs, means takrana bar bar. He was full of life, excitement, and laughter. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir.
Continue. We will read
Yes, sir.
faster because I want to try to complete it in 2 lectures.
Okay, sir. Come, child, come, call his parents, as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way.
Okay. So what happened? Lag behind means what? Left behind. He was fascinated, means he was attracted. So the child was attracted to the toys which were displayed at the various stalls. So as he would be left behind, his parents would call him to come with them. Right.
He hurried towards his parents, his face obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to
Receding.
where receding toys, receding toys, as he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well known the old cold stare of refusal in their eyes.
Okay. So lingering means lasting for a long time. Receding means here it is given. Receding toys means left behind as he walked ahead. When you walk ahead, the things will be left behind that are called receding. Suppress means put end to. And cold means without any feelings. See, cold refusal means without any feeling your parents tell you no, you will not. That is cold refusal. So the child was obedient. He obeyed his parents and would walk towards them on being called, but his eyes would keep on looking at the toys that he wanted. So as he reached them, he couldn't control his desire to buy a toy. He was familiar to the reaction that they would give. He knew that his parents would not agree. He knew that they would stare at him like you know how the parents stare at you when they are angry, when they want to say no, that denial. Same way, he knew that his parents would stare at him and they would deny. The child knew the emotionless way in which they would stare at him when he would ask for the toys. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Okay, sir. I want that toy, he pleaded. His father
He
looked
did.
at him, red eyed in his familiar tyrant's way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender and giving him her finger to hold, said, look, child, what is before you? It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land.
So, the child was unable to control his desire any longer. He said that he wanted to buy the toy. So, then what happened? The father's eyes grew red with anger. See, can you see this?
Hmm.
He looked at the child just like a cruel ruler who was trying to oppress him. But the mother became emotional due to the cheerful mood. Lovingly, she gave her finger to the child to hold and guided him to a place. She asked him to see what was in front of him. So, what was there in front of him? There was a vast field.
Flowering
See,
mustard field.
yes, जो सरसों के खेत होते हैं वो. So it was a vast field full of bright yellow colored mustard flowers. They seemed like flowering streams of gold and were widespread. A group of dragonflies were there, and black bees and butterflies buzzed around, sucking the nectar from flowers. You know, this kind of flies, they are called dragonflies. They suck the nectar from the
Yes,
flowers.
sir.
Do you know that? You might have seen.
Hmm.
The child looked at them as they flew around. So when one sat somewhere, he tried to catch them, but the tiny creatures would fly away the next instance. So have you ever tried to catch these flies?
Sir, at younger.
But are you not scared of it?
No.
So the mother called out to him as they started walking down the footpath, but he was trying to catch these dragonflies. Then,
A group of dragonflies were bursting about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it. But it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air. When he had almost caught in his hands, then his mother gave a cautionary call. Come, child, come onto the footpath.
yes, this I already explained.
He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. Come,
So,
child, come.
abreast means side by side, facing the same way, and teaming out means to pour or empty out, khali kar dena. So child ran towards his parents. He walked next to them, but after few steps he stopped to see the insects who were coming out of the soil. मतलब ground में से आ रहे थे बाहर. Once again the child was left behind. Continue.
Come, child, come. His parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hands. But lo, he heard the cooking of doves and ran towards his parents, shouting, The dove, the dove! The raining petals dropped from the forgotten hands.
Okay. So grove means what? Grove. A small wood or group of trees that is called grove. So the
Okay.
parents called him. They sat next to a well under the shady tree. कुआं था उसके बाजू में एक ट्री था. They sat there. The child once again ran and joined his parents. Then what happened? Here it is given a shower of young flowers, right? So as the child entered the shady forested area, he was welcomed by a shower of flowers. मतलब उसके उसके ऊपर फूल गिरे. You know, shower of flowers sometimes we see in the TV,
Yes.
on the television also. So he forgot his parents and he started collecting the petals that had fallen. He was collecting that flowers. Just then he heard the cooing of doves. See, these are doves. Cooing of doves, and was excited to see them. He started chasing the birds, means he was running with the birds as they were flying. And in the process, the petals fell from his hands. So this shows that as the child got attracted towards the next thing, he forgot what he had been doing earlier. You know, children are like that. When they are doing something and
Hmm.
they see something else, they forget the past thing and they start running towards the new thing. They are fascinated. So he heard the cooing of doves and he started running after the doves. He that forgot that he had petals, flowers in his hands, and that fell down. Understood? Then
Yes.
what happened? Come, child, come. Yes, you read this, right? So
No,
here
sir.
it is given. Okay,
Last
read.
paragraph I not read. Come, child, come. The call to the child had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took
It
the
is banyan.
banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields.
Okay. So capers. Capers means a playful skipping movement. We jump. That is called capers, jumping movement. What happened? The parents called the child who was running and playing around the banyan tree. Now the child was playing here. Parents were sitting beside the tree under the shade. So the parents called him. He was playing around a banyan tree. They lifted him and walked down a narrow twisting lane. Child ko utha liya, and then they are walking down the narrow lane through which they crossed the mustard fields and reached the fair. Now they are in the fair. How many others are listening? Tell me yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Only two of
Yes,
you?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Three. Only three.
Sir, four. Sakib
Yes,
said
sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, so only four, right? And how many are present?
Sir, total 21, including you.
Oh, so if we count 19, then also only four are listening from 19 because no one is saying yes other than you four, right?
Yes.
It's a really interesting story. You see, you will know what happens further. Read.
As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs converging to the whirlpool of
Converging.
the converging to the whirlpool of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering.
So throngs means throngs, huge crowds that are called throngs. Converging means
Okay.
gathering. So as they were about to reach the fair, abhi pahunche nahi the, they were about to reach. The child saw huge crowds of people walking from all the directions towards the fair, and the dense crowd scared him. He was scared, and he stepped back for a while. But the next moment, he got attracted to the mind-boggling crowd of humanity. He was attracted to see all the sorts of things. Continue.
A sweetman seller hogged gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi at the corner
Watery.
of the entrance, and a crowd pressed around his counter at the foot of an
Architecture.
architecture of many colored sweets decorated with leaves of silver and gold. The child started open eared in his mouth water for the burfi that was his favorite sweet. I want that burfi, he slowly murmured. But he
I
half
also
knew,
wanted.
sir, I don't have now.
Okay, gulab jamun at least, please.
No, sir, it is
No,
Okay,
not.
then
definitely.
Heather Ali will give me. I'll tell Heather Ali.
Okay, sir.
No,
Or
definitely.
Balkani Mustafa will give me.
Okay, sir,
Continue.
no problem. But he half knew as he begged that his plea would not be heeded because his parents would say he was greedy. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved on.
So what happened? At the entrance of the fair, to one corner, a sweetmeat seller had set up a shop. What is a sweetmeat seller? The person who is selling the sweets. See,
Sweets.
watery mouth now we have. So at the entrance, he saw a sweetmeat seller was there. A shop was there. He was selling various sweets like gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi. Early morning now. This mice are running inside the stomach. So all these sweets were being sold. The sweets were displayed at different heights. You see how they are displayed very nicely, and were
Yes,
covered with foils of gold and silver. वो cover नहीं करते foil के साथ.
yes,
That is,
sir.
the boy's mouth watered like how my mouth is watering when
Yes.
he cited his favorite burfi. His favorite sweet was burfi. He expressed his desire. He wanted to get one in very low voice. He was afraid his parents would not agree. So in a very low voice, he said, "I want burfi," because he was sure that his request will not be accepted by his parents. They would say that he was greedy for burfi. Greedy means
Lalat.
yes. बेचारा एक बर्फी मांग रहा है तो उसके पेरेंट्स उसको ग्रीडी बोलेंगे. He is afraid. What is wrong in that if he asks for one burfi? So he was afraid that his parents would comment that you are very greedy, lalchi. So as he did not expect that his demand would be fulfilled, he walked further. So he was sure that my parents would not agree. So he started walking further. He did not even ask. खुद ही सोच लिया उसने and he started walking. Yes, carry on.
A flower seller hawk. A garland of gulmohar. The child seemed ir- irresistibly drawn. He went
It
towards
is
the
irresistible.
irresistible drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured, I want that garland. But he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved on.
Okay. So now what was there? Who is
Flowers.
this?
Yeah, lol.
Is it? Is he looking like Sakib or Mohammad Abbas like you?
No,
Who
sir.
is he?
Sir,
Sakib.
height is small. I am big in
Height
height.
is small. Your height is bigger. Okay, yes. So, the next stall was that of a flower seller. He announced that he was selling garlands of gulmohar flowers. They are kind of flowers. And the child wanted one of those. So he walked towards the basket of flowers and again announced his desire to have one in the low voice because he knew that his demand would not be fulfilled. Even his parents would not agree for the gulmohar flower. So they would refuse to buy him the flowers as they would say that they were cheap, like they are not of good quality. उसके parents ऐसा बोलेंगे. But he assumed, you see, he's not even asking. He's assuming everything. He's not asking. So again, the boy walked ahead without expecting a reply from his parents. Got it?
Yes, I got it.
Everything he's thinking because you know your parents कि अगर हम ये पूछेंगे तो हमारे parents क्या बोलेंगे. You already 99% you are sure of the reply.
Mm, yes.
So he's not even asking. He's so afraid. You can say he's so scared. We don't know what is wrong, but now you will see how all his
Yes.
desire turn into fear. Very interesting story it is. Continue.
Yes. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of the silken colors, and he was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further.
Further. Okay. Overwhelming means what? We use this word. It is a very good word. When you are very much happy, a very strong emotion comes out from your heart. That is overwhelming. A very strong emotion. So the next thing that the child came across was a balloon seller. He was selling balloons of different colors of the rainbow, like Vibgyor. So the boy was attracted to the shiny colors of the balloons and he wanted to have them all. He knew that his parents would not buy the balloons for him. So they would reason that he was too old to play with them. Right? So the child walked further. If you
Yes.
want to buy balloon, will your parents agree that you are
No.
too? Will they buy?
ના ના સર હવે નાના બચ્ચા હતા રહ્યા સર
So what? But there should be a kid alive in you.
સર પણ રે પણ પછી થોડુંક થોડુંક બહુ ઓછી ન રે સર
Okay. Next. Snake charmer. बीन बजाने वाला आ गया.
સ્નેક
Like
ચાર્મર
Sakib or Mustafa. See, I will show you the image. First, you read this para and then we will have some fun.
ઓકે સર A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake with coiled inside in a basket, its head raised in a graceful blend like the neck of a swan while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. The child went towards to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played. He proceeded further.
See, this is the balloon man. Looks like
Yes,
home. Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Abbas.
I think Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir. His hairstyle also.
Hairstyle is like Muhammad Ali. Or like
No,
Arsh.
sir. His hairstyle, no. Sir, I don't have this type of hairstyle.
Then whom does it like whom?
no one.
Okay, see,
Sir,
I
Muhammad.
know it is recorded. It is just a sense of fun. I hope no one feels bad, right?
Yes, sir, no one.
And if it
Okay, sir.
if it is like that, then I apologize. I don't intend to hurt anyone. Okay, it is
Yes,
just
sir.
for fun for 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Okay, so don't feel bad, please. So see,
Hmm.
this is now. What is it?
हमारे पास
Who is he?
listen. This
Means what
is
is the name?
A snake charmer.
Have you seen in real
no
snake
sir.
charmer?
No.
When we were young, when I was around like of your age, there were snake charmers. Now that trend has gone. पहले वो गांव से आते थे once in a month and they would show all these tricks and tantrums and they would get money. And real
Yes sir.
snakes, huh?
This they were years.
Hmm?
Sir, you don't fear.
No, see, because everyone goes there. Sometimes they just pass by the street and they stop anywhere randomly and they open that box and they play this tune and the snake comes out and he dances. We have seen really when we were younger.
Sir,
Yeah.
I see snake, but don't like this. Beep 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 beep.
Acha. So when you go to the village areas, you will still see this countryside.
Okay.
So what happened? Then the child paused at the snake charmer, who was playing a flute, and the snake was twisting its neck to the music. The snake had coiled itself. Coiled मतलब ऐसे गोल गोल घूम गया था. Coiled itself in a basket and raised its head out. It bent and it moved its neck gracefully like a swan. You know that
Yes.
bird swan? Same way the snake was moving his head. So it seemed that the music of the flute was heard by the snake's invisible ears. Actually, snake does not have ears. Do you know that?
Yes, sir, I know.
Yes. So the author says Mulkharaj Anand that his invisible ears were able to listen to the music. That way it was dancing, and it created the effect of a waterfall on it because it swayed its neck in a similar way, like how the water falls down. Same way it was swaying the neck. The boy walked towards the snake charmer, but as his parents had warned him to remain away from the unpleasant music by such man, he walked further. उसके parents ने उसको पहले से warn किया था that stay away from this kind of coarse music, means unpleasant, very bad music. So he started walking further. See, everything is ignoring. First of all, what did he ignore? First thing,
Wait.
sweet meat seller, yes. Then,
Then flower. Then
yes,
balloon.
garland of
Then
Gulmar,
snake.
balloon, then snake charmer. Then see, further, continue.
There was a roundabout in full swing. Man, woman, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzying laughter. The child watched them intently and then he made a bold request. I want to go on the roundabout, please, father, mother.
Now, finally, he spoke up. Finally, वो control नहीं कर पाया और उसने बोला, what is this?
घोड़ा.
Roundabout. बैठते हैं ना इस पे घोड़े पे
घोड़ा
बैठते हैं.
गाड़ी.
It moves round.
हाँ
It
सर,
moves
बचपन में
round.
बैठा था.
Yes. So
मोहम्मद अजी बैठता है पे.
then he saw a roundabout swing. It was full of men, women, and children who were enjoying the ride. The boy watched the people on the roundabout and then with a lot of courage, मतलब उसमें हिम्मत नहीं थी, but he gathered all the courage and he expressed his desire. He said to his parents, I want to go on the roundabout, please. So do you think the parents would agree?
No.
No, as the image of the parents here is not so liberal, right?
Yes, sir.
Carry on.
There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. Ahead of him. He turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them.
So here is the twisting turn in
Lost.
the story. When his parents did not reply, what happened? His parents did not reply. He turned towards them. He saw they were nowhere around. He looked around behind, but his parents were nowhere to be seen. खो गया वो. Continue.
A full deep cry rose within his dry throat, and with a sudden jerk of his body, he ran from where he stood, crying in real fear. Mother, father! Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and fierce. His flused face was convulsed with fear. Panic stricken, he ran to one side first, then to other, hither and thither in all directions, knowing not where to go. Mother, father! He wailed. His yellow turban he untied and his clothes became muddy.
See, ether and thither means here and there. The boy
Yes,
cried loudly. He jerked his body, खुद की body को खींच रहा था, and he ran here and there, calling out for his parents. He was full of fear. Tears started rolling down his cheeks. So as he wailed, as he cried, and ran around his turban opened, and his clothes became muddy. No turban उसने कुछ पहना था सर पे
hmm,
पगड़ी जैसा. That is
yes, sir.
turban, and his clothes became muddy. Who is this?
Yes, sir. Con.
Nothing. Leave. I don't know. Will
अच्छा,
feel
okay,
bad, so I don't want
understood,
to
sir,
crack a
understood.
joke. Continue. Having run.
हैं, sir?
Having run, sir.
Yes, sir. He ran quickly again.
No, no. Above.
Acha. Having run to and fro in a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, and his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass he could see, through his filmy eyes, man and woman talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among these people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking.
So intently means carefully. There is a word. कहाँ गया वो?
Intently. Sir,
Yes,
ये रहा fourth line.
you should listen to your teacher intently, carefully. So now see
Sir,
what
I am
happened.
listening.
अरे, example. So after some time he gave up. Means he was not able to find his parents. So the loud cries turned into mild sobs. Means first he was crying loudly. Now he was crying softly, mildly. He saw some people standing and talking, and he tried to find if his parents were among them. The laughter and talks of the people were meaningless because when you are thinking something, you are in great shock. The crowd around you is meaningless for you. You don't like anything around you. He was simply searching for his parents. Continue.
He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, but he ran through people's legs, his little sob lingering. Mother, father. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd people were very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. He might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, "Father, mother!" A man in the surging crowd heard his cry and stooping
Surging
with
crowd.
surging crowd he heard his cry and stooping with great difficulty lifted him up in his arms.
Okay. So you might be tired, no? For one or two paragraphs, then I will give someone else to read later on. Right?
Yes, sir?
I said you might want to relax for 5-10 minutes. So then after explaining this, I'll tell someone else to read for two
No,
or three
sir, मैं कर
paragraphs.
लूंगा हूँ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
Okay. Have you heard this word congested? That is a common word which we use. Congested
Yes, sir.
means full
I
of.
heard.
भीड़ जहाँ पे होती है.
Ah,
भीड़. Congested means बहुत very, very less space.
yes, sir.
Hefty. One more word. Hefty. If you find it.
हाँ, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sixth line, sir. Sixth line, last second word.
Yes. Hefty shoulders means large and heavy shoulders. Then thrust. Thrust means push.
Okay, guys.
Knocked, you all know, knocked means to hit. Brutal. Now this is new word for you. Brutal movements. Brutal means harsh, rough. जैसे धक्का देना. Brutal. You should not behave brutally. Should not
धक्का मुक्की.
be brutal with anyone. Yes, harsh. In short, rough. Then trampled. Trampled means crushed. Here. अंडरफुट,
Hmm.
किसी के पैरों के नीचे आके दब
Yes,
जाएगा
sir.
वो छोटा बच्चा, that is crushed. Then one more new word for you, surging crowd.
Surging crowd.
Surging crowd means powerful crowd, बहुत भीड़
Powerful.
होती है वो, like in the fair.
दबा
You can
दबी रही है.
yes, yeah. So the boy ran towards a temple which was crowded with people now, and he ran through the legs of the man, मतलब कि पैरों के बीच में से चल रहा था, calling out for his parents. The crowd was pushing each other as he neared the entrance of the temple. भीड़ होती है ना टेम्पल में तो, in
Hmm.
the fair. So the boy got scared of huge, strong men who stared people with their murderous eyes. Means all the people were looking at him, and so he was afraid. He called it a murderous eyes, means very cruel eyes, and pushed them with their strong and big shoulders. So everyone was pushing each other. इतनी भीड़ थी वहाँ पे. The crowd was unruly, uncontrollable. The boy could have been crushed under the feet of man had his cries not been heard by a man in the crowd. He lifted the child. So there he met one man, and that man lifted that child in his arms, and otherwise he would have been crushed under the feet of all other people. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, carry on.
How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he steered clear of the mass.